I'm a carpenter, I'm not an electrician. So this is why, you know, when you're stupid, things are harder. I want to thank Al Komodo and Retired Biker for giving me the inspiration through their videos to go ahead and do this. Apparently, there is a name brand American-made version of this this is actually a Chinese knockoff that I had gotten from AliExpress, which is where I think Al Komodo and Retired Biker got theirs. If I had known that there was another one, I didn't do any research on it, I would have gotten that one because I always try to buy American, and I'm willing to pay the extra money for better quality and something that's made here. But it's here, it's on. I'm definitely not shipping it back to China to return it. So next time. This is my version of installing it. I went into more detail with how I did the wiring as far as like the soldering and stuff. If you like it, hit subscribe, like button, hit the bell, all those things. I ordered one of these GPS mounts after watching Al Komodo's video. So I followed along with his video, and everything seemed to be pretty straightforward except for the pins that hold in the screen unit. They're right here. It's hard to tell if you're not familiar with them, that they're basically just push pins. You never know how this is attached inside here. So once I got everything open, I tried just giving it a little tap with a punch and a hammer, and I was able to get the screen out. You have to unplug this this guy here, this harness. One thing that I did do, because I foresaw it being a problem, is I went ahead and set these back into place before I try to put the screen on and put everything down tight, so that all I have to do is just push that back in order to mount the screen back in. The aluminum mount for the GPS is actually, it's kind of hard to tell it's even aluminum. It almost seems like it's plastic, but it is aluminum, it's metal. It flares out a little bit. So you want to mark each side. And the way that I did it was I slid it up until it touched that radius. And then I pulled it over until it hit here. And I marked this side where it looks straight. And then I marked this side separately where it looks straight, and drilled the holes in the plastic. And when you line up everything, it sucks it up to square, which is basically what the paper template did. I checked it on the paper template, and it was flared out like this. I'm mounting a TomTom GPS. I have a security system for it that basically has a key and a lever that keeps it from somebody being able to just come up and pull it off. I'll be able to lock and unlock this if I lower the screen down in order to get the GPS off. I bought 2 of these adapters from Amazon for the heated gear ports that go here. So one of them is hooked up to that cord that I bought, and I'll try to put a link for the adapters and the cord that I bought off Amazon. And the other one is right here, and I'm gonna hook this up for the GPS. I got all of the shrink wrap and the soldering ready to go. This is the adapter. In order to get the lead that I needed for this to connect into the adapter, I had a bunch of battery tenders, and I never used the clips that come with them. So what I did was I removed those. The one with the white stripe is the positive. So this is the lead for the TomTom GPS. I've got positive and negative, or positive and ground. And what I'm going to do is I've sized all the shrink wrap so that I can basically close this all in nice and tight. I'm going to solder the connections together. I have to strip this. And then once I get that all soldered together and the shrink wrap, we're going to feed that through this tank cover the way that I ran this line through here. It's going inside there. And then once that's all done and put back together, what will happen is these are both off when the bike is off, and then when the power is on, they activate. So the GPS and the phone and the USB ports up here will only draw power while the bike is on and running. This is the lead from the GPS, and I stripped the wires back the same amount, and then I basically meshed the 2 pieces in together. I'm going to put a little bit of flux on that. Oh yeah. There we go. So that's the hot side. The neutral side should be the same, so I'll get that done and then we'll worry about the shrink wrap. So this first layer, these wires are exposed to here. I'm going to go ahead and shrink that down to cover that section of wire. I probably could have just shortened the wires up, but I'm always really cautious about not cutting off any wire because somewhere down the road I might want to install this somewhere else, and then I might need that extra length, so I'm just going to keep everything I can. I'll just roll it up underneath the seat. The next thing is we're going to cover up our actual solders, and we'll go from here. Hopefully I can get the other pieces in that I laid out. So I've got that up to there. Here's hoping I can get this one passed and cover up everything, which is what I was aiming for. Okay, I think I got the pieces all laid out where I need them. So we're going to go ahead and run this along underneath the tank topper and plug it in underneath the seat and see how we're working. I was able to get the wire running through here. It's running on down through here and coming out right there. So this is the one for the USB ports, and this is the one that we shrink wrapped for the GPS. I'm going to go ahead and roll that up and put some wire ties on it and then get it plugged in and see how it works. In order to plug this thing in with the waterproof connection, it's back behind this screen. I would have to take the screen off, I think, in order to be able to get back in there in order to check that connection. I'm hoping that this thing is just wired. Let's see if it changes when I turn it back on again. I don't remember if it shows like a little lightning bolt or something like the iPhone does whenever it turns on or not. The only thing I could think of is that maybe when I alligator clipped that, it severed the wires a little bit when I was pulling on it to get the shrink wrap on. I could have pulled it apart, but I would have heard a pop or felt something. It didn't come loose, so it's hard to say. I'll have to figure it out. So it's like 70 degrees on a Sunday, and I'm driving the van of all things to go down to AutoZone or Pep Boys or whatever I hit first. I got to get fuses, because I managed to fry my 15 amp fuse in my Pan America by touching the wires together while I was trying to check my GPS connection to see if I had reverse polarity. I used my digital multimeter, figured out I had power to everything. I had 5 volts coming out of the base of the GPS, and the only thing I could figure is that I had switched somehow the red and the black, and because it reduces the voltage inside the base for the GPS from like 12 to 5 or whatever it is. I think that's what it's supposed to do that. I'm not sure. So all that work that I did to fit all of the shrink wrap and did all the beautiful connections and everything as far as like splicing the wires, I had to cut that loose, and so I had tested everything else, and it was showing that it was there was like a negative on the multimeter. I'm a carpenter, I'm not an electrician, so this is why, you know, when you're stupid, things are harder. So I was in the process of trying to flip them and see if I just switched it, if it would make it read what it was supposed to read, and I managed to touch the 2 wires together, and I shorted out my 15 amp fuse. So I'm using this as a learning experience. I now know where my fuses are underneath the seat of the Pan America, which I don't keep the manual with me on the bike. So if I was out on the road and something happened and I blew a fuse, 1, I don't have any fuses on the bike right now. 2, I didn't know where they were. 3, I wouldn't have known how to find them because my manual stays in the shop. So, I mean, in my garage. So now I know where the fuses are. I know what size of fuses I need, and I'm gonna make sure that I have extra ones. so that if something ever happens, I can fix it. So I'm going to pick up fuses now. I'm going to get back here. I really want to ride the bike to the store to pick up these stupid fuses, but with a fuse being blown, I don't even know exactly what's covered by that fuse. The bike turns on and seems to operate. I think that it's ancillary things like the plug-ins for the battery tender and all that stuff. But I'm not taking a chance. I'm just gonna leave it sitting there. It's like the thing's all open. Gonna go grab those fuses, come back and see if I can't get this thing tested, rewired, and get this GPS working to basically where it's on whenever the bike is on and off when the bike is off, the way it's supposed to be. Okay, I'm back from the auto parts store. I got the fuses. I'll replace the one that I burnt, making that mistake. I got all of the shrink wrap off, got the wire stripped back down. I have this one ready to solder, so I'm going to go ahead and do that again. What I did was I had the red here to the white stripe here before, and I think that I had reversed the polarity. The only way to know for sure, I'm not going to try to test it in place again. I'm going to go ahead and wire it this way, hook it up, and then see if the GPS reacts the way that it's supposed to, if that was the problem or not. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this process, and then we'll test out the connections and see how it works. I can hear everybody riding outside, going up and down the road. I'm in here doing this. The reason that I'm on the horse next to the bike is because I had already run the wires along the tank, and I think that connection and all that is good. I don't want to take that all apart and reconnect it here, so I basically pulled the wires over here, and I'm doing it just on the side to try to save myself some time and some steps. This is actually going pretty quickly. Oops. A little too hot on that one. That already doesn't look too bad, but I'm going to try to get this piece slid over everything and try to cover up all this again with an extra layer. Well, that's as far as it's going to let me go, I think. That's actually really not too bad. Those wires being split is what I was trying to tighten up. I could have used a larger piece of shrink wrap. Basically, everything's done. I've got the two adapter cables underneath the seat. One of them is hooked up, and the wires run up through here. One of them is hooked up to this double USB port right here with an SAE connection underneath the seat. And then the other one is coming up, and it's connected to this TomTom Rider 550 that I have. And it's got the security attachment on there, so that that lever basically comes over and keeps you from being able to push this down, which keeps you from being able to lift the GPS up. I think I already showed that I had modified that by notching it a little bit right here to fit over the aluminum GPS mount bracket. So we're going to turn the bike on and test how it's working now. What had happened before was I had switched the red and the black, and I think I already talked about that. So what was happening is I was getting no power to the GPS, even though the power was coming all the way up to this charging port right here. So with those switched, I was getting no charging on the GPS. So let me turn this on. I know for a fact that the iPhone stuff works, the USB port's in there. And so now I have a lightning bolt up here, which is showing that it's working. And then if I turn the bike off, it automatically goes to sleep, so it won't be draining the battery, which is what I was after. So we'll let that go to sleep. One thing I figured out while I'm filming with my iPhone, I kept losing the camera, it kept turning off, and I kept losing my sound, which I hope I have the sound from the stuff I just filmed. Because the bike is connected with the camera or the phone, it will interfere with whatever it's doing. It basically shuts everything off. Like if I'm listening to music or whatever, it stops it. It stops the camera, everything. So I have to take that into account whenever I'm filming, that, you know, I'm either going to have to use a different camera whenever I'm turning on and off the bike to film like that, or just keep an eye on it so I'm not sitting here talking to a phone that's not running. Well, I'm going to wrap this up here. I think I've covered everything I wanted to do. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. Thank you again to Alchimoto and Retired Biker for their videos on installing the same thing on their Pan America. This is the state of mine. I've got the sport boxes, and it's dirty/dusty from having it in here while I'm doing woodworking stuff. So the weather's beautiful this week. It's in the mid to high 70s in the middle of April in northern Indiana, which is unheard of. I mean, it's pretty rare. I remember one year we had a foot of snow on April 15th, so we're taking everything we can get. I should probably see if I can find my footage and maybe do a video on these A1 risers that I put in. They're two up and one back. And these things are great. I love them. Somebody asked me, so what do you think of these? And I go, I don't. It's like a good pair of shoes. If they're doing their job and they're fulfilling the need, you don't even realize that they're there. So that's probably the best endorsement that I could give them. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, and thank you again for watching. We'll see what I get up to with the next video.